Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek. VR news for July 11th. Just a quick personal update. So I left you guys the Oculus Rift not functioning. Happy to report everything's functioning now, 100%, multiple reboots. Yesterday I had it narrowed down to either a display or a USB issue. Research has surprised me because there are a crap ton of people with USB compatibility issues, but really weird ones. Like, you would think that any 3.0 or 3.1 universal serial bus, because after all, that's what USB stands for, would be, pretty equal across the board. Obviously, transfer rates vary, that sort of thing. But most devices, you can plug them interchangeably. If it's a drive, exactly, you get the faster transfer rate. But for the Rift, wow, there's people with brand new motherboards like mine, which is ASMedia chipset on the 3.1, Intel on the 3.0, and Intel on the 2.0, which I tried, by the way, so those of you who've mentioned it, thank you, but unfortunately that didn't work. All of them were incompatible for me. Plus, plugging directly into the HDMI on my EVGA 1080 Founders wouldn't detect HDMI. I tried my generic, can't remember the brand right now, DisplayPort to HDMI. It saw the HDMI, but I still got no picture. So I wasn't sure which of the two it was. So today I bought a card for the USB side of the equation, which is this Vantech 2-port USB 3.1 Gen 2, SATA powered, and this StarTech DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. Put these both in, it worked. Again, multiple reboots, still works. So the next thing is to narrow it down to which of the two did it. Obviously, there's a small chance it was both, that I was compatible or incompatible in both areas. But what's more likely is it's either this that made the difference or the USB card. Even though when I opened it, I discovered it was ASMedia, the exact same chipset as on my motherboard. So if this was the culprit, then it's really only ASMedia integrated into a motherboard that has the issue. The standalone card doesn't. So strange that there's so many issues out there, because that's one area. The Vive had issues, obviously. It has its share of issues. But USB, it was pretty easy going. Like literally any USB 2, 3, 3.1, which I know you guys have said is the same with the Rift, just way more fussy on which 2.0, 3, or 3.1 it'll use. So that's working, which is great. Thanks again, as always, for all your suggestions. Much appreciated. I've got the Initech card coming Thursday, but I'll probably still, I'll put that in, and then I'll probably take this as a spare to work or something, or put it on the other machine. Now for the news. And this first one was kind of a reminder of what was and soon won't be. And Sony PlayStation has released what their virtual reality game lineup box art will look like. And I'll be popping it in one of these two spots. You can judge for yourself, but the only thing that really did for me was kind of remind me that we're almost at the end of box art, right? We've got PlayStation, Xbox, 3DS, and that's probably about it. iOS and Android, completely digital. You could argue that the PC is 99% digital. Yes, there's still games, but go to Best Buy, GameStop, or EB, and if they have PC games, it's a shelf about that wide and that high. And it's usually World of Warcraft and Electronic Arts titles, because EA doesn't want to be on Steam as much. And they're kind of off on their own, even though they got Origin. So, end result, you're not seeing a lot of PC games, right? The box art looks okay, but again, just a reminder of, think about it, 3 to 5 years, guys, that may be a thing of the past, right? Which part of me is kind of sad about, the nostalgia part, but I've gotten used to digital, even though I still like to thumb and touch physical objects, right? So we'll see, but a few more years and it won't be around. There's a company, Josh Farkas, He's the CEO. They're called Cubicle Ninjas, and they've developed an application called Guided Meditation VR. You basically pick a nice setting, Bali, Indonesia, Mexico, somewhere on a beach, etc. You walk around, find yourself a nice spot, assume a virtual reality meditation position, and you get a woman with a British pronounced accent telling you what to do and when to do it. So, doesn't look like there's any way to do any strafing or use brute force and ignorance on the environment. Definitely not destructible. It's just a walk-through virtual reality kind of tour thing. And the reason I mention this game, or application, it's not a game, is again to just highlight how diverse VR is and the crazy potential, right, for VR. We've talked about it on this channel here between us, the training aspect, right, the simulation aspect, gaming, sales tool, right, online shopping type thing. Well, and now you get self-help in the form of meditation. And if anybody's into yoga or meditation, that's not a judgment. It's not my cup of tea. I do my stress relief, through different means. But I fully support it. If that's your bag, power to you. Definitely respect that. Just not for me. But looks cool, and another way to enjoy VR if it is something you enjoy. The company Codemasters has a game called Dirt Racing, which is getting really high reviews. The only negative complaint I've seen about virtual reality is the fact that the resolution on the HMD doesn't seem high enough, right? Some complaints about the fidelity of the picture. I'm not sure if that's Vive or Rift. I didn't dig into it beyond that. But it's a rally style game. And Rally's not as big in North America. We're more NASCAR with a bit of Grand Prix. Rally's more of a European and I believe Asian kind of thing. You've got your driver, and then you've got kind of your navigator who, like the British lady, tells you what to do and when to do it. Literally, right? Right turn, 40 meters, slow to 2, or that kind of thing. It looks fantastic. So I'll be curious to see if I can grab that somewhere, maybe on a Steam sale. I'll pick it up. I'm not a huge simulation guy, but with VR, and again, I mentioned that VR, it's not about the genres, it's about the experience. And genres you normally don't like, try them, for the experience in VR. I think it's unique enough. Don't blacklist an entire genre because you haven't enjoyed it to date, right? You may find things in VR that you do enjoy. The last one cracked me up because I had just finished talking about Nintendo. I think it was last night's news video where I talked about child safety. And by the way, you guys had awesome feedback on that. There were some really good discussions and all valid points. That's why this one kind of amused me, because Pokemon Go, and unless you've been living under a rock, you haven't been able to escape reading or hearing about it, has caused accidents, people to get lost, find bodies, like all kinds of strange things. I'd be much more worried about a kid playing Pokemon Go and trying to find that Pokemon in yonder hill and falling in a ravine or getting lost. Like, that to me sounds a lot more dangerous than, a kid doing virtual reality under parental supervision. But that's just me, right? Anyways, any of you guys trying Pokemon Go? Not my bag, but curious if you are. It kind of looks and sounds like geocaching, which is something I have done, which is basically on your phone, follow the GPS coordinates, hints, tips, find the object that they have hidden or buried, sign, or leave an object behind to prove that you've been there, right? Pokemon Go seems to be like that, except it's virtual Pokemon, right? That you've got to capture and train. So it doesn't seem to matter what those guys do, eh? Pokemon, the name just turns to gold. So again, just an interesting contrast, because to me, and the reason I say that is Nintendo is a minority owner of Pokemon, the company that makes the games. I believe they're 33% minority stakeholder. So yeah, a little interesting there. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, guys, and this is just a huge thank you to you guys, is the growth of this channel. And it's not a topic I've talked about a lot. I've kind of hinted at it in some comments to some people, because it is getting increasingly difficult. I freaking hate cookie cutter responses. And the day I do that, like, that's the day I'll just hang it up, because one of you takes the time to have a well thought out suggestion or tip or whatever. I at least owe you guys the courtesy to give you a well thought out response, or don't bother responding at all, right? And it's still almost manageable, but just to give you guys an idea of the growth, it's basically quintupled in the last 5 weeks. I've gone, and which is a little bit of a separate topic, but to date, I've not revealed the subscriber count. And it wasn't because I'm some guy who wants to be dishonest or hide it. I just wanted people to judge the content based on the content, not the subscriber count, right? It was always something I was going to reveal at some point. What that point was, I honestly didn't give much thought, because I didn't think it would grow as quickly as it did when I started getting into the VR specific content. But between me and you guys, like I said, it's not something, I would be dishonest about or intentionally not tell anybody who asks me. I tell them. But it's been a grand total of 2 people who've asked me. 2 people. Most of you, if you did care, you didn't show it, and you certainly didn't ask me, right? But now that I'm talking about it here, we broke 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I was at 200 literally 5 weeks ago. So it's quintupled in size to 1,005 the last time I checked. I don't say that, for any kind of non-modesty reasons or any of that crap, because I give 2 shits. I say that because I am appreciative of that, right? And want to know what your guys' opinion on that is. Is it something that you've cared that's hidden? Should I just show it? Really interested. Like I said, it was something I was going to show anyways at some point. I just really wanted people to judge the content, not on some subscriber count, right? Oh, look, it's only got 200. Forget it, right? And not even watch a video. So I don't know how valid that is. I've read all kinds of pros and cons about hiding, showing, whatever. But again, anytime you guys ask, I'll be straight up and tell you. And if it's something overwhelmingly you guys think I should show, I'll show it. No problem. All right, guys. Thanks again, as always. Until the next video, hopefully some more gameplay videos. Always the news videos. Until then, cheers, guys.